Alrighty lads, how are yous? It's been a minute, but we're just going to get straight into it. Finally fulfilled my Jeep fantasies, and we went and brought a proper winch truck. You'll hear more about this over time, but just a quick rundown. H260 rear, GU front, Camdale S, triples and coilovers and hydro bumps all around, full cage. So still the Jeep chassis, and also it is a MIDI. It's been stretched, chassis's been stretched, body's been stretched, so keeping the MIDI tradition alive. I'll give you a quick walk around of what I've just been tinkering away with since I've gotten it, and then I'll have a spill of how we ended up here with another Jeep and why I've gone for this one and whatnot. So just a quick walk around. Obviously slapped me GP in, got new Ishkas on it because the Botus were completely fried. Now, I had this thing fully rebuilt by Hustling, so it's got faster 60% Hurricane gears in it now, ready to go. This thing was pretty flogged, so she's sweet now. Waiting on some buzz bars and stuff to finish wiring it up. I put the MIDI's wheels on it, wheels and tyres, because chromies for life. I've fixed up some scratches and stuff on the scrubbies and resprayed like the whole back end of the car. Put different tail lights on it. I put this tailgate on it. Now the lighting's pretty shit back here, but if you're a Jeep nerd, you'll know this tailgate's off a CJ7, so like a 1970s something Jeep. The original TJs would come with like a side swing big door, and it had a vent in the back, and it just looked shocking. So I wanted to go for like an old school effect because I'm a Jeep nerd and I like the drop tailgate. So I had to because the previous owner cut out, why is that never focusing? The previous owner cut out this notch out of the original body because all the back tubs are all the same from way back. So they're all the same size, but the previous owner cut out the body a bit for the spare to kind of slide in nicer, which it still fits. And so I had to put them kind of both sides, had to weld them on and kind of make it suit the body line. So that's just a bit of like 25 by 25 bar, and then that grabs the tailgate for me. So I absolutely love that. I stole that off my brother. He had it sitting in the backyard, so absolute perks of a Jeep family. Now on the inside, you can see full of caged. I need to add a couple bars. I need to add like another A-pillar and a cross windscreen bar or something. I've made a spare parts rack so that holds both my spare CVs. It's gonna hold one hub, it's gonna hold another hub. It's got a starter motor on there. That's because in this thing I am so limited to space. Obviously you can tell there's so much going on, I've got no space. So just whatever room is kind of happening in this, I just need to make stuff work. So I've kind of started on that. Slapped a couple quaddies on because they're the best thing ever. I've never had a quaddie till very recently and I absolutely love them. They're grouse. So I put the Garmin's back on, so race spec. Clean the hell out of it, respray all the inside and stuff. So just honestly just tidying stuff up. So I've had this thing sitting in the garage for ages, like a good year, and now they are sold everywhere. But it's got a little lock tab, and I do it pretty tight. Oh, there you go. Just like unlock that. Under here, hose reel reaches all the sides from down here. I tried to get this somewhere like snug and not on the outside of the car, and that was kind of like dead space, so just kind of snug fit in there. Obviously it's a bit weird to do it up because I've got to be flat next to the seat, but saving space, and that just hooks directly, if you can even see it, into the compressor on the seat. So that's sweet as. So this is the first car, dead set first car I've ever owned that actually has like a compressor in it to pump its own tyres. I've always just either carried a compressor, which I haven't carried a compressor for ages, or I've just sent it to like a petrol station or something after, because I don't know, I don't really care about wearing the traps down on the road. Now, today I'm going to be redoing the snorkel. Now, I've always been a man for just straight up stainless snorkels, never been a fan of black ones, but even worse, these bad boys, absolutely shocking. So I just went out and got some stainless, I'm going to give it a go, trying to do one myself. I'm not much of a TIG welder at all. I've done it like once, but see how we go. Just a little second to appreciate the colour before we get into it. Oh, and I also got new windows, top halves. So they're like a frame and then canvas rip over them, which they were the worst things ever to put on. They were so tight, and I'd never want to do that again, but just makes it look all clean and tidy and seals up the cab. So this is all I'm working with. Just a 90 bend that goes straight into the airbox, 45 bend to get it coming up, and then another 90 bend that'll dock off to kind of skew off the side, and then just a straight piece that was in there, scrap pile. So this was like $10, and then they were, I don't know, 120 or something. But see what we can do here. All right, first things first was to get that dog off. I need to cut a slit of this because that's still going to be kind of the join from the airbox to the new snorkel. I just need a little bit to separate the gap with a hose clamp there. So now we can start kind of setting her up. All right, so I got the first bit on. You can see there's a couple of hose clamps either side of that rubber holding this on. I had to cut this edge down a bit, obviously, because that went back all the way there. So I had to cut that down, and I had to cut the hole out a bit more. Now I've got a spitting gap, but still look better. And we ended up pretty lucky here, as in the length to this join, I can literally just smack that straight on there, and then I can smack the straight bit straight on that. Like, I literally don't have to cut any of this. I can just tack that all up, and it just works straight away. The only thing I'll have to cut is the top and the next join. All right, we are underway. If you can see over here, I set up like a bit of a test piece just to play around first. Literally my second time TIG welding, especially stainless. So this is all trial and error. Now I know how they kind of do it, but I just don't know how to set the machine up. Like, I don't know when it needs more gas or if it needs more temp or whatever. I don't know how to do all that. So I kind of just get it to a spot where it's joining the steel together, and I'll just run with it, and then I can just wire brush all this. You can see it's just got like they're kind of like just like particles and dirt kind of on top of the weld. So I don't really know how to sort that, so if you know, let me know. But wire brush that and she'll be alright. You can see inside as well, it's fully penetrated, so definitely gonna hold. Doesn't look good, not really, but I'm doing it myself, so I can tell people that I did this and that feels good. So alright, so I got all the bottom half done, and I've made the mount, which just mounts to the windshield kind of hinge, and then I've cut out the top cap, which is just a 90 bend, and then you just cut off one edge, just gives you that nice cool shape. And that is just gonna sit facing backwards, or maybe on the tilt, I don't know, probably just straight back, and that will pretty much be it. All right, and that's pretty much that. How good does that look? Even though the welds aren't that smicko, looks grouse, suits the rims, suits the motors. So just another nice little piece on it that tidies it all up. But yeah, I don't know. You can see they're kind of average, but full penetration and that'll do. That's just going straight back, because when I tilted it out a bit, it was actually like leaning out. So try to keep it snug. So how have I ended up here with a Jeep? So obviously anyone that knows me knows that my family and me have always just been Jeepers. It was always going to happen. My first four-wheel drive, second four-wheel drive, but first car that I drove when I got my license was a Jeep JK supercharged Wrangler. It was pretty sick. And then I sold that because I needed a work car. And then one thing led to another. I needed another car to go bush because I couldn't and I didn't want to keep flogging the work car in the bush. So I got the Midi because it was cheap and it would just keep me driving. But the end goal was always to get a TJ and make it into an LJ, which only was in America, which was just a long wheelbase TJ. So we never got them. So that's just a Midi TJ, which that is what this is. So I was always planning on buying just a cheap like piece of shit and then do it up pretty much to what this is, just a mid wheelbase, coilovers all around, triple bypasses all around, V8, like everything. So that was always the end game, but then I've just been so caught up in the MIDI. Like I just kept spending money on it and just kept driving it. Love that thing. So it kind of just prolonged how long that was kind of around and just kept delaying me from building one. And then obviously now growing up, I've got other shit to do. So like building a car from scratch is very far-fetched these days, and just the cost of parts these days is insane. Now this car in particular, I saw this car like 3 or so years ago at a Wild Dog, and I said to all my mates, I'm like, if that's ever for sale, I'm going to buy that car. And everyone that knew the owner, the previous owner of this, said, mate, he will never sell it. Like that is his pride and joy. But one thing led to another. He didn't use it as much as he wanted to, and felt like it'd be a bit of a shame it sitting there. So it got put up on Marketplace. So everyone was just sending it to me, and I'm like just sitting there. Like this was just after I've practically rebuilt the MIDI to keep racing, and I'm just sitting there going, oh, fuck, like how do I even make this work? But yeah, it was just an opportunity I couldn't let pass. I needed to be back in the Jeep, and this is kind of the bee's knees of what you can get, and it suited me like to a T. Love the color, love how it sits, love the length of it. It's an inch longer than the MIDI, I'm pretty sure, or maybe an inch and a half longer than my MIDI. So ripping wheelbase, my favorite wheelbase. So as soon as that came out for sale, I was like, oh, I've got to figure this out. And yeah, just made it work. One thing led to another. Now I'm sitting here in it and I can go to town on it. So that's kind of how I've gotten the Jeep, and like why I've gotten the Jeep. It's because it was always going to happen and just had to make it happen. Now, as far as that goes, I'm probably going to cut the video here. We've pumped out a little bit of shit for this. So I've got a list that I'm just going to keep working through over the next couple of weeks and whatnot. But as it sits, looking good, wire the winch up, and then I want to go drive it ASAP. So yeah, thanks for watching.